Welcome to the Wealth Acceleration Podcast with your host, wealth coach Wade Reed.
Hey, what is up, Money Masters? It's Wade Reed again, here to bring you another episode of the Wealth Acceleration Podcast. Today's episode, I want to deal with the topic of financial advice versus financial coaching. This comes up quite a bit when people ask me what I do. So, Wade, what do you do for a living? Well, I'm a financial coach. Oh, so you manage money? No, I don't manage money. I'm a financial coach. Oh, you do investments? You are a financial advisor? I'm like, well, kind of, but not really. I'm like the financial guy that you've always wanted to have in your life, who's more on the same side of the desk as you versus the opposite side of the desk as you. I'm not the guy who's giving advice and telling you what to do, but instead I'm helping you identify your goals and I'm helping you set projects and timelines around those projects that are achievable so that you accelerate your financial results. They're like, oh, okay, well, I don't know if I've ever had somebody in my life like that. And so I wanted to just distinguish more clearly during this episode the value of having somebody as an advocate and as a guide and as a mentor, as a coach to support you in your financial journey. You know, financial coaching is an area that is not really well known. I mean, there's coaches in sports, there's coaches in your career, there's coaches in health, there's coaches at the gym known as personal trainers. Like, coaching is a way that you encourage somebody toward a goal that you're trying to accomplish, toward a future objective. And advice is more like, I'm not sure what to do here. What would you do? And of course, periodically a coach will give advice, but that's not the primary objective of a coach. So I want to bring up on the screen a little slide I put together to just kind of clearly distinguish what advising looks like in the financial world versus coaching, and why I think you ought to be looking for somebody who's more in the coaching mindset than somebody who's more on the advising side. All right, so the screen on, if you're not watching this, the screen says advising versus coaching. And we're going to bring up a couple of things about advising. Advising is primarily information-based. So back on my right shoulder, above my shoulder, there's a bookshelf, and there's a bunch of advice in books. There's stories and there's experience. I love books because I can dive into somebody's life experience, their entire life up to that point when they're writing this book, and how everything is coalesced into what they view as truth in the topic that they're addressing. I'm big on the self-help. I'm big on personal finance. I'm big on business and developing value for other people, solving problems, and how that all comes together into one of the books above my shoulder says The Engine of America, which is all about small business and how to be successful as a small business owner. And again, you'll recognize that I always talk about even those in a W-2 position as a full-time employee for someone else. Technically, you're still a business owner. You just happen to have one sole client right now. You're giving 100% of your time to one client, and they're paying you a specific salary for that. But if you can have the mindset of, I am choosing to give my labor and my skill and my ability to this employer because I feel like it's the right place. It's got the right culture. It's got the right objectives. It's got solutions I enjoy solving. I'm paid well for my services. I have whatever other things you like. Personally, I like autonomy. I like flexibility. So if it meets all those things, you are giving your service to somebody else, and that's perfectly acceptable. But be in the business owner mindset that I choose to be here. I don't have to be here. So anyway, back to this. Advising is information-based. When we sit down with somebody and we say, okay, well, I don't understand investing. Tell me about investing. And they tell you, well, investing is doing this, that, or the other. You got to put money in the stock market and you got to diversify it across this different spectrum of stock classes. Use mutual funds or ETFs or a variety of things. And so you start to learn the lingo and they teach you the lingo and they just kind of leave you to do your own thing. That's information-based. Where coaching, we'll get to in a minute. Advising is largely product focused. So an advisor in the financial world is either on the investment side or the insurance side typically. I personally fall onto the insurance side. I'm licensed and have been since 2009 in life insurance-based products. So whole life insurance, term life, annuities, things that create certainty, things that can create guarantees. And it's a balance against the other side of the coin, which is risk-based assets like mutual funds and stocks and alternative investments and things like that. So advisors typically make money off commissions, not advice. It's pretty rare to find somebody who's selling their advice for a fee. And it's pretty rare for somebody to be willing to pay for advice for a fee because information is so readily available on the internet. It's hard to be willing to accept somebody else's advice. I mean, this happens in the medical world. We look things up on our own before we go see a doctor, right? And in any case, product focus is very heavily the nature of financial advisors. And not to say it's bad, it's just what it is. You're going to primarily receive a recommendation of a product if you go to somebody who's giving advice. And they're also focused on money. What does that mean? Well, they're almost exclusively looking at the financial situation they're in and kind of looking at you objectively and giving advice kind of in a sterile environment. It's not really like focused specifically on you and your goals and objectives and what you really care about, the values that you have and the priorities you have in life. Oftentimes, when you're asking for advice, that person's also not in a position to be willing to ask the questions that dive deeper into your personal life, that really get clear on your perspective, how you've come to the beliefs that you have, how you've come to the decisions that you've made up to this point, and the direction that you're going or might want to be going instead. So it's more focused on just the money aspect of trying to find efficiencies with money and less so on you. And then the last part is it's largely transactional. When you're going to seek advice from somebody, usually that person's going to end up in a transaction with you as a primary focus. So it's product oriented and transactional because that's where money's made in the financial world for the most part. Now, on the coaching side, we're going to find coaching is primarily results-based rather than information-based. I'm always telling my clients, look, you can get information anywhere. So anytime we have a coaching session, I want you to be seeking insight. In other words, the information I'm sharing may be familiar to you, but find the insight about how you can apply it to get the results that you've asked me to help you accomplish. So it's results-based. What are you trying to accomplish? And how can I help you accomplish that? I'm not doing it for you. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm helping you stay accountable to what you say you want to do. And if there needs to be information and advice, sometimes that comes along. But then there's always this, well, what do we do with that? What's the action that's associated with it to get results? And then it's goal-oriented. What are we trying to accomplish and by when? And is that realistic? Is that achievable? Is it measurable? And in a coaching world, we put those things in place. In fact, just the other day, I met with a guy and he's like, man, I just feel so disorganized in my my business finances. Like, I'm so frustrated about it. I'm like, okay, well, are you frustrated enough to do something about it? He's like, I think I am. So there's like this willingness factor. I could give him all the advice in the world. Well, I think you should set aside a specific hour of your week to do this, that, and the other to stay organized. I think you should do this to get organized. But it falls on deaf ears unless somebody's willing and unless they actually have a goal around it. So coaching asks the question, well, what is it about that that's important to you? What would be different in your life if you had that accomplished? Can you imagine how it would feel to accomplish that? And are you willing to do what it takes to accomplish it? And if all those are described in yes, then, well, what's the action plan? Let's come up with a game plan. What's something you could do? What's one step you could take? And we create objectives and we create timelines and we create action items around that with some accountability. So it's focused on you rather than on money. So in the financial coaching world, we focus on you because you're the generator of the income in the first place. So if you're in a good mental state, if you're taking care of your body, mind, and spirit, and if you are serving people in a way that they're willing to pay you, the money will come in. And yes, we need to deal with that. And I've got my system I've already talked to you guys about. And if we put those things in place, money kind of takes care of itself. So in coaching, we're really focused on you. And as you make decisions and as challenges come up, we come in and we have the conversation about what it is that you're doing to deal with that. What is it that's triggering the emotional reaction? So in some ways, it's kind of counseling, but we're not focused on the past, we're focused on the future. So what is it that's coming up? How long have you felt this way? When have you experienced that before? And then again, what can we do differently this time? What's one thing we can do that might be a little different than you normally react to this to test out a different approach? Because insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. So let's try getting out of insanity and into sanity and do something a little different, test it out, see how it goes. And because we're in that safe coaching space, we can go try something out, come back and have a productive conversation. see how it went or didn't go. Sometimes people will balk and say, man, I know I said I wanted to do this. I just got scared. Okay, well, what caused that to come back up? Maybe we need to take a different approach. So it really is person focused rather than money focused. And then the last thing here is it's transformational. If we're focusing on a human being and that person is focused on accomplishing something really important to them, and the coach has helped really draw that out and then help create the action associated with it to get those results, it really can be transformational. I have clients all the time who come back and say, oh my gosh, wait, I never knew how much I didn't know about personal finance. And I never knew just how simple it could be. And I never knew just how important it was to have this in place, such as reserves. I always thought that was kind of a farce. It was useless to have that much cash. It should always be invested. But I really see now the value of having cash on hand because it's helped me deal with a crisis. I had multiple people come and say, Wade, if I hadn't known what you taught me and applied what you taught me about money, I would be all over the place emotionally right now. I'd be freaking out that this financial issue came up. I had that happen a lot during my coaching with people during COVID. They had cash in place, they had systems in place, they had the ability to deal with the downturn. It's transformational. You become a new person because you're trying new things. So when you're looking for financial advice, that's plenty. You can get that anywhere at any time. Plenty of videos out there, but coaching is personal. And as I always say, make personal finance personal. If you're willing to take a personal approach to it and it becomes really meaningful to you, that the person who you are that's expressed through how you spend money and deal with money, how you give, how you save, how you invest, how you spend, you really vote with every dollar. And so if you want to enhance how that happens and you have some specific goals and you want somebody to be a guide and a support, that's where coaching comes in. That's where the value of having somebody like me can support you through that in a really powerful way. We don't just do a handful of sessions and sell a product and goodbye, see you in a year. Again, nothing particularly wrong with that. I have lots of clients on the life insurance side of my life where that's what we do. We spend a handful of sessions. We get a good strategy in place. I teach them some of the core principles. They go out and they try to implement on their own. And they're perfectly fine with that. And I have other clients who really want that hands-on, side-by-side, done with you experience. And we spend many months working together, sometimes 12 to 20 meetings or more, to really get things figured out, to build accountability, to build rhythm, to build success patterns that are different than peers that you're dealing with. So it's an accelerant. I have clients who always tell me, Wade, I have done things faster than I ever thought possible because of working with you. And that's why in my email signature, I say wealth accelerator and money coach. It's not me so much. It's your decision to hire a coach. It's your decision to invest in yourself. That's the accelerant. I just happen to be kind of the intermediary to help you. And other coaches in your life may be doing similar things in business and health and other things. So guys, coaching is very, very important. It's not for everyone at all times. There are times when you just need advice and there are times when you really need a coach. And if you're one of those who's ready for coaching, you can apply to work with me. I have very few people I work with one-on-one, maybe 5 to 10 people a year. I'm building out group coaching that's going to launch in the fall. I'm going to have a membership where you'll be able to participate in a group fashion through these principles and still have some guidance from me, but it won't be 100% one-on-one. It's going to be in a group fashion. I really, really want to be able to reach hundreds and thousands of people as opposed to a few dozen over a couple of years. So guys, I appreciate you watching and listening to this podcast. I appreciate you letting me be a part of your life, hopefully creating inspiration and action. Most importantly, taking some positive steps, some positive action in your life so you have confidence with how you're handling money and you're really happy and excited and money becomes fun and easy as opposed to worrisome and fearful. All right, guys, love you. We'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wealth Acceleration Podcast. We hope the insights from today's episode help you streamline your finances and grow your wealth stress-free. For show notes from today's episode and more tips on creating a comprehensive wealth-building plan, visit moneymasterycoaching.com. Remember, financial freedom is attainable. Until next time, keep accelerating towards your goals. See you on the next episode.